earth could save us? Who on earth could save us? Could stand? Who on earth could stand? And all the faithful ones with nerf all gun in.
Without further ado, Rapture in the Dark Church.
Here we go. All right. Amy begins to the audience, who she assumes are also youth at a lock-in. Hey, hi. Do you all go to this church? Oh, I'm only here because my friend. Is she my friend? I mean, she's a tidy locker partner. Fine, we'll say friend, because my friend Tabitha promised that we'd have fun avoiding our big physics project. Don't you, Mr. Bernstein, too? We should be analyzing the nature of energy, right? But I don't know. I guess I felt like expelling some energy instead. Oh, it's starting. Youth Pastor Joe enters along with the remainder of the youth group kids and stands in front of the youth group in the church multi-purpose room, ready to kick off the church lock-in. He's wearing a Bible pun t-shirt and holds a guitar.
Welcome to the lock-in, everybody. I hope you've got your pizza money, sleeping bags, and purity rings, because we're about to have fun, but not too much fun. In the morning, we are going to make pancakes for the weekly men's prayer breakfast. But for now, let's play Rapture!
The dead are rising all around, the saints long buried in the ground. A twinkle of an eye, they're bound to meet Jesus up in heaven. I hope they weren't cremated. I'll bet that you can guess what's next if your dispensationalist. The beast with ink upon his wrist. 666. Never 7. The rapture is near. The rapture is here. The devil is coming. That much is clear. You survive Armageddon. Will you see Jesus come again? Will you be taken up with him or left behind to reckon by Jesus up in heaven? Now who's gonna be the beast? Be the beast? Like the Antichrist? Yes. Shh. That's extreme, but kind of fun. Shh. I'm asking who's gonna be the beast. So this is just tag, right? No, it's like sardines. But if Joe shoots the beast with his Nerf ball gun, the beast loses. Shh! The Antichrist don't get your throat sliced by the one with the mark of the beast. I'm asking who's gonna be the beast. Who's gonna be the beast? Who's gonna be the beast? Who's gonna be the beast? Christ, don't get your throat sliced by the one with the mark of the beast. Gabe, tell 'em. Rapture is upon us. I tell you, Rapture's finally here. All the Christian race has gotta find a place to hide themselves in fear. Who on earth could save us? Who on earth could save us? Could stand? Who on earth could stand? And all the faithful ones with Nerf ball gun in hand. I tell you, Jesus, 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 who will rise among the least. I tell you, Jesus, 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 who is gonna slay the beast? Gonna slay the beast. Gonna slay the beast. Yeah.
I'll do it. Everyone is silenced.
No, Pastor Joe is gonna pick.
I'll be the beast. She sticks out her arm for the mark.
No, I wanted to be the beast. What does the new kid get to? The stranger residing among you must be treated as your native born.
Exaggeratedly, he marks Amy with a 666, while the youth group oohs and ahs.
Ooh, ah.
That's okay. Now we can hide together. Joe whips out a Nerf gun and poses with it, a la Rambo 1982.
For lo, the rapture has begun. The leaves fill with dew and blood, and the seas spew fire as they rise. The beast crawls from the pits of hell with her accursed Sharpie, marking those who remain with 666 and turning them into beasts. You may hide to outlast the rapture, and if cornered by the beast, claiming the Lord Jesus as your savior and dying at the beast's hand will save your soul. But only I, the beast hunter, by slaying each beast with this very Nerf ball gun, can end the rapture.
Wait, so I'm out to mark everyone, and then Joe has to get me, whoever. Ready? Go! All scatter, except Amy, who stands holding a Sharpie, stunned for a moment in the midst of the chaos. When she's alone on stage, she decides to embrace the game, even marking a few audience members.
I'm gonna be the beast. I'm gonna be the beast. I'm the Antichrist.
She's the Antichrist.
You know it feels right.
I'm
the one with the mark of the
She's
beast.
the one with the mark of the beast.
I'm the one with the mark of the beast.
The one with the mark of the beast.
Hey, get back here. I want to make you hellspawn with me.
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on.
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on.
Blood pumping, adrenaline on the rise.
We're running through the dark, a game that doesn't have a prize.
Tears up for blood and the beast is right behind us.
Blood thumping, we're looking for a place to hide. Just find a closet or a cupboard, then you get inside. You wanna come with me? I know a special spot. Who knew the apocalypse could feel so hot? Blood running hotter than hell.
Blood running hotter than hell. And in the church we don't kiss and tell. Shows up from blood playing Rapture. On the hunt for a fight.
That's not what I'm out for tonight.
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on.
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on. Come with me, we could get in our baptismal font. Get the key and we can hide inside there if you want.
Nah, it's cool. You go find the key.
Okay.
I'm with Gabe. There's not room for three.
What?
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on.
Blood pumping, blood pumping.
Come on.
Blood pumping, confusion and a little fear. Now the rapture's got a different kind of atmosphere.
I knew you'd find me when the end times came.
Gee, I think that Rapture is my favorite game.
Blood running hotter than hell. Blood running hotter than hell. Church we don't kiss and tell. Just not for blood playing Rapture. On the hunt for a fight. On the hunt for a fight. That's not what I'm looking for. Blood pumping, blood pumping, blood pumping. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Sorry, my phone did it again. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Okay. Beth and Sam have found a hiding spot in the church, the communion supply closet.
Well, if we get stuck in here for long, at least we have snacks.
You can't just snack on the blood and body of Jesus.
I don't think it's been prayed over yet. I'm pretty sure it's just crackers and grape juice.
I think there's olive oil in here for blessing people. Yeah, there it is.
Great. What are we gonna do with oil?
Awkward pause, filled with sexual tension. Wait, I think there might be some reaching behind some crackers on a top shelf. Yes! She pulls down a bottle of wine.
Who's drinking wine at this church?
I think it's for when we host the interfaith conference. Probably for the Lutherans. They both take a swig. Sam opens a box of crackers.
What's up? I shouldn't have too much. Carbs, I'm getting fat. No, you're not. You're really pretty. My daddy gave me this promise ring last year, but it suddenly seems so silly. Oh, Jesus. Every time I look at Hope, I feel funny. When I see her, what I feel must be the Holy Spirit's power. I know I shouldn't, but my body is a garden where I'd offer him a flower. Like these itty bitty crackers, just a taste and I want more. It's the secret new communion that my body's waiting for. When Armageddon arrives and I look into your eyes, you'll be the one thing I know is true. When Armageddon is here, what I want is crystal clear. I want to worship you. What Daddy doesn't know can't hurt him. Oh, Jesus. It's a trial being with him, but true love waits, you said. Look at his body, it's an altar, and upon my knees I die to come and pray. And I want to try much more than what I've done with my left hand, but we'll keep the action over hands, just like the Lord commands. When Armageddon begins, loving you is my final sin. You'll be the one thing I know is true. When Armageddon is here, on my knees I'll draw you near. I want to worship you. Your breasts are like leaping gazelles. Huh? The Song of Solomon 7:3. What if we get caught? We're just role-playing David and Jonathan in the book of Samuel. Oh, Jesus, you were right to deny me the temptation of James. His abs are nothing compared to yours. When Armageddon arrives and I look into your eyes, you'll be the one thing I know is true. When Armageddon is here, what I want is crystal clear. I want to worship. I want to worship. I want to worship. I want to worship you.
Amy bursts in on Tabitha, confronting her with the Sharpie. Aha!
Ah! I'll never be marked by you, beast. You'll have to kill me.
Calm down. It is not that serious.
It is serious, Amy. This is everything I believe in. In the end, we're going to be questioned on our faith, and I want to be counted among the faithful. And you're just shitting on my religion.
Tabitha! Language! Look, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shit on you or what you believe, but you invited me, and now a grown man is chasing me through a dark church. I'm just trying to make the best of this weirdness.
Okay, I can see how Joe might seem weird.
Come on, let's go find them and mark them all. Amy advances on Tabitha with the Sharpie.
No, I'll never get the mark of the beast. You'll have to kill me.
Oh, come on.
Amy, I'm serious. I declare that I will never renounce my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now you have to pretend to slit my throat and then take me to the nursery.
Fine. Tabitha dies epically. Off stage.
What the heck is going on in here? Is that wine? Get up, get dressed. You're both on timeout.
Tabitha hops up and she and Amy, wide-eyed, head off to the nursery. Back in the bell tower, James and Gabe are still kissing. After a while, Gabe pulls out a joint. Wanna? James pulls out a lighter. In response, they smoke, passing it back and forth while talking.
Do you believe in God?
Yes, James. Jesus still loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. How about you?
You remember that quote from Isaiah? The grass withers, the flower fades.
But the word of our God will stand forever. Isaiah 48.
Yeah, I thought about that in Mr. Bernstein's class. How energy can't be made or destroyed, it just changed. Made me think about how someone has potential energy in their body and they use it to play guitar, right?
It's like kinetic energy or mechanical energy. I get them mixed up.
Whatever. And then I hear the sound waves and maybe I cry because it's so beautiful. And maybe that guitar was on a recording like 50 years ago. So it like defied time and space to affect my soul. Like Jesus is supposed to.
Okay, you've had enough of this. He puts out the joint.
I think that's what I believe in now.
Oh, St. James, I do believe you're a Taoist.
Hey, what's that smell?
The beast's not up here. It's just us Christians hiding out.
Are you high? To the nursery, both of you!
Amy drags a melodramatically dead Tabitha into the nursery, rolling her eyes.
Beast! Beast Hunter. Look at what you have brought to this group. Alcohol, drugs, fornication.
What? I was just in here with
Look
Tabitha.
upon the sin your presence brought.
Joe, you're being kind of harsh. Amy's a
The
guest.
stolen wine and secret heart.
Don't blame her. She didn't drink. That was
The
me.
filth and fornication caught.
Hey, we didn't need her here to fornicate.
Yeah,
I mean,
time has come to reckon. It is
Are you insane? What do you think I did? I brought all this, I'm just a single kid. I'm here to play, I'm not the Antichrist.
And the wicked path
You're the
of
crazy
heaven.
one.
I'm the
Back,
crazy
and you're
one.
the crazy one.
I'm the crazy
stupid
one.
game is done and
It's over when I've won.
Amy begins rubbing the 666 off her wrist. Joe abruptly shoots her in the face with the Nerf gun. Everyone freezes in horror. Amy holds her hand to her stinging cheek. She looks over at Tabitha. Tabitha, I think I'm going to go call my mom and ask her to pick me up. I'll see you in physics. She exits. Well, I guess the beast is dead, so Rapture's done.
The sun is coming up. Alright, homies. That means it's time to make pancakes for the weekly men's prayer breakfast.
The youth group stands around in the kitchen, awkwardly mixing, pouring, and flipping pancakes side by side.
You know, 1 John 2:18 says the Antichrist has appeared. From this, we know that the last hour has come. So anyway, we'll use our last hour to
Hear the
make this
church bells
killer
across the
breakfast for the men's prayer
halls.
group. Don't forget that regular youth
Rapture's done when the morning calls. Hear the church bells across the yard. Who knew youth group would be this hard.
It was rapture there on the closet floor. It was rapture there by the bellroom door. It was rapture there being by your side.
If we play again, I'll be terrified. Did I really follow what God had planned? Did all of this get so out of hand? Was it wrong to shoot a child in the face with a Nerf gun? Maybe someday youth group could be some fun. Maybe Jesus thinks I'm the crazy one, but no, I guess that's not the case. So I know Joe and I take all of this kind of seriously. But youth group is so fun! Next month, we're playing this great game called Chastity Chasers. You wear Tabitha, I'm not coming next month. I wanted friends and got shot in the face with a Nerf gun. Not cool. You're right. I'm sorry I was so mean, and that Joe is a crazy person, and I would totally get it if you didn't want to be locker partners anymore, so do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven! Luke 6:37. That's right. Whoa, you really know your verses. You're really pretty. I mean, cool. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Tabitha. That's my mom. See you in physics. Bye, Amy.
It was rapture there on the closet floor. It was rapture there at the bellroom door. It was rapture there, and I wanna play again.
When the rapture comes, I would be your friend. When the rapture comes,
When the rapture comes, when the rapture comes,
I'll be ready.
when the rapture comes, when the rapture comes, when the rapture comes, when the rapture comes again. Amen.
Alrighty. So as we go through feedback, I'm going to put it in the chat. And reminder to myself to save the chat before we exit. Okay, cool. So let's start with gut hits, immediate reactions, things that popped out. That can be individual ideas, big ideas, little ideas, individual lines. Take a second to think it over if you need it. And then go ahead and just pop.
A whole list.
Oh, she thick, she full. You right.
It's not even the whole list.
Oh boy, so much to say. Okay, I'm ready whenever you all are.
Okay. Here are my gut hits. These are the notes that I took. Pizza money and purity rings just took me right back to being in youth group again. I didn't even realize I had that association anymore. Very excellent pairing. The line about cremation was hilarious. Let's see. I like the audience interaction. That one was really fun. You can also butt in whenever. I don't want to.
Okay. And a lot of the notes that I took were about how cool I thought the modulations that you took were in the musical transition.
Okay, if I may say so myself, I had to work really hard, so thank you.
Yeah. They were catchy, and I could hear the church in them. It was great. Tabitha thirsting over Jesus was a fun moment. And also when James says he's with Gabe to Tabitha, that was also great. Yeah, and I really liked the use of the chorus, like at the ends of songs while there's also a solo singer, and how it sort of comes in waves. That was really cool.
Yeah, I think the third song is very, very masterful in its craft because, you know, at first you get the pairing of the dude and the girl and they're drinking the wine and it's like, oh yeah, that's what this is gonna be. And then you see, oh, there's two boys. Oh wow, that's an inversion. And then you see Tabitha with Jesus and it's like, oh, that is the perfect escalation. And it works so, so well.
Excellent.
I wrote down that the comedic timing of that song was perfect.
Yes, I agree.
I have a note written down that says that the second song feels like a 90s direct to VHS song in the best possible way. And I think it probably has to do a bit with the Scooby-Doo chasing around.
100%.
I have a note written down that is just the word homos in all caps with one period at the end.
Homos in all caps with a period?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't make it all caps, but I
No,
got
it's
you.
gotta be all caps.
Okay, all right, I got it.
Oh,
There we go. That part is a little lost on me. Any particular reason, or just felt it?
No, I just felt it.
Okay, that's fair. Oh, because of Tabitha and Amy.
No, I think it was the two dudes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
So I don't get excited about women.
Same. I'm not roasting myself. I guess I'm outing myself. Very, very late in the game.
I'm so glad you finally realized.
It took writing this show for me to realize that. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm. Wait, what? What? Anyway, any other gut hits we want to hit?
Yes. Oh, I think this is like, it's a gut hit and it's also like a slightly philosophical tangent, but I think it's absolutely fascinating how you like put in the Christian fascination with evil in both playing the role of evil and also playing the savior. And the power dynamics involved in the leader of the group always being the savior of it. I also love that Joe like kind of got a little development, but ultimately did not. And that's perfect. He does not need any development.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool too, and I loved how just weird and extreme he was. That felt very real.
I know that man.
Am I the
Yeah.
only one who has never like been part of a church? Hannah, were you? Yeah, you said you went to a Catholic school, right?
Yeah, I went to Catholic like K through 12. So
Yeah. Oh, wow.
although I wasn't in a youth group for like a lengthy time, but I was like Amy, where I like sort of went a couple times with a friend, and I was like, this is weird. So
I really appreciate that note on Joe because I struggled with should I give him an arc or whatever, but every Joe that I know doesn't have an arc in his
Exactly.
life.
I
I don't know how to, yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other gut hits?
That is all that I've got.
Hannah?
yeah, I think that's it too. I realized that for the songs, I didn't write down the title of the song of the one I was commenting on, but
Me neither.
If I can give you some context to jog your memory, or if you give me some context.
gotcha, yeah. I had just written down like great modulation. I think like at the end of Beast, that was really cool. Honestly, the end of like all the songs, I really enjoyed them.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked them musically and narratively.
Excellent.
I guess this is also a gut hit.
Hmm.
But I mean, Danny, your music is fantastic. It is truly unbelievable.
Thanks. That's really great to hear. Let's see. So, questions for the audience. Our biggest one is about the game itself and how it operates within the story. For one being, is the game, how it works, clear? And if it's not, does it matter? And if it is, does it feel too heavy-handed? So really just, game, is it working for you? Thoughts?
I think it works just fine. I understand it completely. It was never something that we ever played at youth group, but I did play similar games with friends in middle school and high school. So, I mean, personally, it seems very straightforward and a very easy just frame for the story.
Yeah, I would agree. I also was not familiar with this specific game beforehand, but I felt like I perfectly understood it in the context of the show. Yeah.
Great.
Can we be transparent and tell them that we made up this game?
Yep. Yes, we can.
Why would you lie to us?
Actually, I wasn't really sure about that because I didn't know how much wasn't real because I have never been in a youth.
Well, I definitely made up this game, but my memory, I don't know if this was trauma or what, but we definitely played games about like apocalyptic and whatever games. And I've talked about this extensively with my husband and my brother and sister-in-law, my own siblings and everything. And we all remember these games, but none of us have any rules in our brains of what it possibly could have been. But we all remember intense fear, intense hiding. And then I remember trying to make out with boys. That's it. That's all I can remember.
That is so wild.
Yeah.
We did not
but
do
like
that.
an actual structure of anything, we don't remember anything.
It's like true and real in its essence, if not in its actual facts.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Literally-
I've actually played this exact game, but like a secular version in high school
Yeah.
Oh.
with the Sharpies and everything.
Oh.
Wild.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, and my husband and I literally got together like during a game of sardines. That's like how we.
Oh my god! So writing this musical has just been so good for you. Just
It's
getting
very
to live all that.
It's pretty gross.
I love it. Deanna, did you have any other questions off the bat?
Yeah. So thanks for the feedback on audience interaction. I'm glad it works. One of my questions is it doesn't happen the rest of the time. We kind of start it and then we kind of don't do it anymore. Is that a problem? I guess is the question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm not sure if I have an answer to that. I would probably say if this was longer, I would expect more audience interaction. But since it's just such a small snippet, then I think just the once is fine.
Yeah, I didn't quite think about that. So I think that was just kind of something I like accepted. It didn't bother me that it didn't come back. Yeah.
One of the things that comes to mind is, well, like Jesse said, it's so short that in order to accommodate any more audience interaction, we'd probably have to carve out more time, which is fine. But I think even if we just sort of staged out some elements of the show, like at the very end when Amy and Tabitha have their mini scene together in the middle of the last song, I could imagine just sort of staging that somehow out either into the house in some way, and just being in general part of the semi-immersive experience. Maybe that's enough, because I think it clocked in at 23 minutes, so I think it's probably okay.
Can I make a somewhat Can I make a somewhat prescriptive suggestion?
Sure.
About audience interaction?
Yes.
This kind of ties, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. This ties a little bit into a bit of critical feedback that I have. But personally, I thought that the little duet that Joe and Amy do is a little odd, just with the power dynamic. And I would really love a this is very prescriptive. So take it or leave it. I would really love a Joe solo. I think he is crazy, and I think we need to see it. And I think that if he directed this solo at the audience members, you could again have some more audience interaction. Because this is a man who wants to be seen, obviously. Who loves being in power.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. But yeah.
I do have a thought on that. I'm gonna come back to it later. Let me put a reminder for myself. Joe solo pre-reckoning scene. Okay. Any other thoughts on audience interaction? So, okay, I have two questions, and then we can move into critical feedback. One is just in general, the music, specifically the breadth of styles. Right now we sort of wander around in this world of like 60s, 70s, 80s Christian rock. Does it feel diverse and also cohesive enough? That's working?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Related question. Oh, yeah. Something that occurs to me, Deanna and I talked about the idea of the setting being quasi 1985. And we never made that definitive or anchored any aspect of the script in that. And it occurred to me a couple days ago that doing so might be nice in so much as it would make a lot of sense that Joe, having grown up in the 60s and 70s, would be doing a lot of this 60s, 70s music, and the kids do a lot of this sort of 70s, 80s music. And that might just be a nice way to sort of anchor the style and the setting a little bit more. But I also worry it might be either too prescriptive of like, you have to do an 80s show, or just an unnecessary detail. Thoughts on the idea of anchoring it in a time versus just it being what it is?
I feel like, I feel like you could do it either way. I had a very similar problem with a play that I wrote that was intended to take place in the 70s, but like nothing in the script indicated that it had to be in the 70s. And so something that the solution that I found was to put in the script a time that was a long time ago, possibly the 70s. So you could do something similar with like a suggestion. That way, if a director picks it up and says, no, we're making this happen today, then they can do that. Yeah. I feel like either way, you can go either way.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think that could be a fun like aesthetic to embrace. I also think it would be fun to sort of leave that up to like an interpretation of like by production.
Yeah.
So I was also thinking maybe putting something in the script, saying we were envisioning this in this time period.
That sounds great. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from you, Deanna?
So another person that doesn't really have a solo is our lead, Amy. Does that feel bizarre or strange or anything to you?
Now that you mention it, like a little bit, but I don't know. I definitely feel that it would be cool to see her more, but I also quite liked the way that it was structured. And so I'm not sure how much it bothers me, but I do find that kind of funny now that it's pointed out to me.
Yeah, she's like an inverted lead. She's like the cause of the story and yet doesn't actually do very much. Anyway, sorry. You two, keep going.
I have the exact same problem with protagonists. They always end up being like the least interesting one and the one who does the least. And I'm like, you're the main character, do something.
Yep.
It's their
It might
fault,
be because I'm a
obviously.
character actor.
Exactly. I did note that it was a little bit odd that Amy is our main character, is the straight man throughout the whole thing, and we're just surrounded by this cast of very colorful characters. And since it's so short, then unfortunately, you know, it's hard to develop that character. I think we do see a little bit of development at the end from her. And I think I like that. I think that in this cast of very colorful characters, her and Tabitha are the only ones who really get any sort of development, really. Everyone else is pretty, from beginning to end, pretty similar. You know, the boys have their philosophical conversation, but I feel like it's not the first time that has happened. So yeah, I think having her and Tabitha be the ones with that kind of growth is good. And with that, I would like to see a little bit more of Amy, personally.
To see more of Amy. Yeah, that's a really good point. She reminds me a lot of Bobby from Company, which I've talked about with Deanna before. And the thing about Bobby and Company is at the end of each act, he gets a big solo, and they're sort of like inverted versions of each other. So I could definitely envision a version of this where she has a big solo, or even a part of a solo.
Right.
Same thing with Joe. Yeah. So I think
that the real driving force of Amy's character, she goes to this youth group with her friend, because she wants to make more friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see that a little bit because she says it, but we don't ever really get to see that. She doesn't really interact with too many other people other than Tabitha and Joe. I don't know, it might be helpful to see her, you know, trying to make friends. Everyone is obviously already pairing off and scattering. She's like, what?
You know what I could actually... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
You know what I could actually totally envision now that you say that? Is the song Reckoning, which is when Amy and Joe face off and then he shoots her with a Nerf ball gun. I could totally envision that song actually being longer. It's like a minute long right now. That song being maybe 2.5 minutes. And that first minute and a half is her either bonding directly with Tabitha, or kind of doing that thing you're talking about with Joe, where she's singing to the audience and is like, I want to have friends, or something. The question I guess I have is, or my, not qualm, but concern, would be about the tone of the show as a comedy and as like a wacky, very colorful, zany comedy, with her being such a straight man. It's like, okay, where do we take that to keep it consistent? Otherwise, I would really worry about it starting to feel super earnest. That's not an impossible problem to solve or anything. It's just one of the reasons I didn't do it this time around. But yes.
I wonder if during that standoff, if her way of making friends would be like a plea to everybody and they have to choose a side. So instead of like, right, if it's a standoff between the two, then everybody's like kind of in the middle or whatever, and they're literally like, you know, and maybe not everybody even picks her side or whatever, but it becomes a plea to them.
Yeah, I could totally envision that turning into it's very operatic, actually. This idea of them, like, they take their turn, you know, they're singing their duet thing on top of each other, and then she turns to them and is like, sings each of their names individually. It's like, Beth, and, you know, Beth responds by siding with one of them, Sam, so on and so forth.
And that's like their real call to spirituality, right? That's a real decision to make.
Well, I also really like that in so much as it gives, for one, Amy obviously can have like a 30-second but significant solo that's like, I came here for friends, something, 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 since your plea. I think it gives the other characters more of a sense of arc and purpose in the story, aside from just being kind of not background characters, like set pieces. Okay, yeah. How? Any other thoughts on that idea?
I have a very brief suggestion. What if Amy knows, like, she's calling to them by name? None of them know what her name is. I'm trying so hard to make friends with you. My friend Gabe, he's like,
girlfriend of
new
Tabitha.
girl.
That is, I
say her
do
name
like
wrong.
that.
That
Oh,
one
sorry.
girl
What
from class.
was that, Hannah?
Oh, or they say like the wrong name.
Oh yeah, Emmy,
Alice.
Alice. They keep, and she keeps like one of them keeps correcting them, but they correct each other with the wrong. I like that idea because also it prevents that song from getting too serious, which was another one of my big concerns. Like I kept that song super short because I was really afraid of the audience getting afraid that, what is her name, Amy, was actually going to get hurt. But if we keep cracking jokes, I think that does do a good balance. That was a lot of good ideas. I didn't write them down.
Oh, and also, this is kind of a different direction, so you can throw it away if you want. I think it would also be really fun to see Amy get really, really into the game. Like, everyone else is not really into the game. They're like, oh no, we got caught. But she's really into this. She's like, I am the beast. Which is a different direction than what we were talking about, but I think it would also be very fun to see.
Oh, you mean like in that argument?
And throughout the game.
Yeah.
You know, she's hunting people down. She's like, Tabitha, join me.
Yeah.
She's just as dramatic as Tabitha is about it.
We could rule together with our pulls out a second Sharpie. Join me.
Golden Sharpie.
You got one of those double-ended Sharpies.
Oh my god, that church will have stains forever. Okay, I'm gonna write that down in a second. So extend reckoning into an argument with Amy and Joe, asking people to choose sides. Parentheses. Joke, reoccurring joke. They get her name wrong. Alternate idea. Just having Amy more into game, more intense. Yeah. I could admit it. Oh, sorry, a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
I could actually envision her having maybe not huge solo, but when Amy bursts in on Tabitha and like corners Tabitha, I could envision her having a solo there that's like either a reprise of some of Joe's material or some sort of inversion of it that's like, join me and be the beast, give into your hell nature, you know you want to. But she's like,
that would really serve that song where they're both that song where they're choosing the sides. I think that would really serve that because they're both at that level of intensity.
Yeah, I guess the question there would be when Amy is asking people to choose sides, is she asking them to choose sides against Joe as the beast hunter, like within the context of the game, and she's still playing the game, but he's like, no, this isn't a game, and keeps getting even more intense? Or is this her asking the people to choose sides because Joe is a crazy adult who is harassing her and she feels threatened as a person and as a child?
I think by this time it's ended for her, right? Like she's already had the conversation with Tabitha, like, okay, this is enough. There's a crazy adult chasing me and I was just trying to have fun, but this is a lot.
Okay, so during that argument she's going to be asking the people or the other youth group members to
like
choose.
This is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be, and he's accusing me of like literally bringing down the entire youth group.
So she's making a sincere plea about Joe being a crazy person. I think that makes sense.
I think that if Amy is able to turn it off, like with the, she's like, oh, it's a game.
Yeah.
Joe doesn't turn it off.
Yeah, that's what makes her different from him. Yeah.
I think a related question is about Joe and how he comes to the conclusion that the game is falling apart and everybody's doing sinful hedonist activities because of Amy. It occurred to me reading through that we never see him drawing that conclusion.
Yeah, I saw that little bit in there. I don't think it was super fleshed out though.
It occurs to me that if he has a big solo, or even a small solo, where he's singing to the audience, that would make sense as a place for him to draw that conclusion. Where he's like, how he corrals all these kids, he's bringing them down to the nursery for timeout, and he's like, how could it all have gone so wrong? What's the common denominator? It's Amy. He gets her name wrong. It's Abby. And he keeps getting her name wrong in different periods. I should have known it was Emma. Anyway, that is actually very charming. Yeah. How do we feel about that idea if that's when he draws that conclusion? It feels solid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
So during...
Definitely clearer.
Mm-hmm. It's when he draws a conclusion that Amy is the problem. Again, joke, wrong name. Okay. Cool. Shall we jump into critical feedback? Did we already do that and I got lost? I think we're ready to jump into critical feedback. You guys just want to start shooting?
Banging on it.
Yeah. Slap it out.
I do not have a ton of it. I feel like we covered a lot of it in the questions.
Yeah.
I would say the whole Mr. Bernstein's class and the energy in physics sort of subplot. I thought that it wasn't entirely clear. It came up 3 times, which is good rule of 3s. But I still had a hard time connecting it to the rest of the story. We already talked about, I thought the Joe and Amy singing together was a little bit weird just because of the whole power dynamic thing, but we have heavily discussed that, so we're good on that. Oh, this is my own little Catholic preference because I grew up in a big Catholic family. But the line about the interfaith conference was very funny, and I thought it would be even funnier if instead of Lutherans it was Catholics, because Catholics are to other denominations.
I was gonna say, as a Jew, I feel like the jokes about drinking are primarily about Catholics, which to be fair might feel like an Irish thing. Don't quote me on that one. Clearly, I know nothing about any of that. But yeah, from an outside perspective, I think Catholics have the.
I'm
happy you bring the Irish into this.
I'm happy to make it Catholic. The reason why, we could totally make it Catholic. The reason why I initially made it Lutheran is because TBH, Baptists would say that Catholics aren't even going to heaven, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're not
Papist.
even Christians. You know what? That's entirely fair. That is very true. They're not even invited to the conference.
Yeah. You have to have a faith to get invited to the interfaith conference. Okay.
You can't be praying to Mary about it.
You have to be praying to God for that. Cool. Other critical feedback.
The last piece that I have is just that at the end, Tabitha is very quick to renounce Joe, whereas this whole time she has been defending him. And then at the very end, I didn't really see a reason why she was ultimately choosing Amy over her youth group activity. And with what we discussed, any changes that you make to the intensity of Joe might help to inform that.
Mm-hmm. Hearts. Cool. What about you, Hannah?
I think anything that I was thinking we covered in the earlier questions.
Okay.
But all of the points that Jesse brought up, I'm like, oh, that's a good point. I would second all those.
Awesome.
I think that last point is a really good one. The
Mhm.
being quick to renounce Joe. I think one of the places where there's a struggle is like separating Joe, like these different things: Joe, Jesus, church, God, right? These are like all different things. And like, which one is Tabitha truly being loyal to? And it's hard to decide if she's loyal to all of them or just some of them. And to be clear about it, that was hard, and we're clearly not being clear about it. So that, I think that's really good feedback. Thank you.
It's
I
interesting you
think
bring
if
up.
you,
Oh, sorry. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say, if you had a full-length musical, there would be so much room to flesh it out. But again,
Yeah.
with a short
Right.
musical, it's so hard.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up the word loyalty specifically, like which aspects of her faith and this whole church experience is she loyal to? Because for one, it makes me think of the argument idea of them being like, "Who are you choosing, me or Joe?" Which sounds a lot like demanding their loyalty, or not loyalty even, like kind of a similar situation. Anyway, so yeah, Tabitha is quick to renounce Joe. Um, Yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm just thinking through how we can reinforce her change of heart earlier. I could envision maybe even during the first song when they're explaining the game. Um, just I don't know what we would do exactly. Yeah, that's probably a lot of like small detail work along the way. So
Yeah.
we'll comb through it and mull that one over. Definitely. Any other critical feedback we want to hit before we start to close up shop?
That's all I got.
Okay. Cool.
We're good.
So just to reiterate some of our biggest points, I keep looking at homos lowercase and homos uppercase, but both ones have periods at the end, so it sounds like the chat is yelling at me. Christian fascination with evil. That theme is working. Odd that Amy. So the big points with respect to change that we need to make would be we want to see more of Amy. We want to get her fleshed out a little bit more. We want to give Joe a solo, and probably Amy a solo too. We want to see Joe make the connection that Amy is the problem. We want the two of them to argue and ask people to change or choose sides. And we want to reinforce Tabitha's redemption arc. I think those are all the big things. Am I missing anything there? Okay. Cool. All right, I think we're good to go.
I think even where it is right now, it's really fun. It's very cohesive. It's got an excellent frame again with the game, beginning to end. We know exactly where we're going, even if we don't know where we're going. It's really fun. It took me back to youth group in the best way. I feel like I just went to a weekend conference and I just listened to a guy wearing like the Reese's shirt, but it says Jesus instead.
Jesus. Yeah.
And he's got his acoustic guitar, but it's electric.
Hannah and I had the same reaction of being like, must hide ourselves. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, that's a big relief. When Deanna first approached me about doing this, I thought it was a really exciting idea, but I was really unsure of how the story would sort of fall into place. Also, I didn't know anything about youth groups, so it's a relief to hear that it's super cohesive and understandable. Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
Yeah. I wanna jump on what Jesse had said. It's so fun, like just as it is now, and I really love too, as somebody who grew up in a very religious community. I just love the concept of like sort of tackling a lot of these things specifically through just running around in a dark church with your youth group. That's like a deep cut. Yeah. It's a really deep cut.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, Deanna, do you want to debrief real quick after we head out? Okay, awesome. Jesse and Hannah, thank you guys so much. I realize this is the second time that I've asked you guys on board for something in like a month or whatever it is. So I really appreciate your help. I'm sure Deanna absolutely appreciates your help. And,
Big time. Thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to implementing these changes. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting us.
Mhm.
Of course. All right. See you guys later.
The dead are